Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. It's a good day here on Capitol Hill, and I want to extend to you all my best during the Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is a day of solemn reflection, I think, of the sacrifices that many of our men and women and families have made over the years to preserve our freedoms. And I think it's great to have days off where you can really enjoy your family, but it also, in this particular case, is, I think, meaningful to pay respects to those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And I certainly have a great deal of respect and cherish those families. Okay, what's new on Capitol Hill? It's almost like, what isn't new? Today, this morning early, under my leadership, in particular, we took down the California EV, electric vehicle mandate that was going to mandate 30% of this country was going to have to, next year, sell 30% of their cars were going to have to be full-out electric vehicles. And then by the year 2035, every vehicle sold would be electric. Not hybrid, not gas-powered, all electric. An unreasonable, incredibly far-reaching, and I think very damaging to the economy, very damaging to auto jobs and other jobs all across the country. We were able to pull it together. As I said, I led the charge here to pull this down, to make us and to go forward with the Trump administration for some common sense regulations that lead us to cleaner air, yes, but also keeps our economy intact and gives consumers choice. Honestly, in West Virginia, 3.2 or 2.3% of the cars sold last year were electric vehicles. Even in the state of New York, which is one of the states affected, only 10% of the vehicles sold in New York were electric vehicles. There's no way practical that anybody could reach this far-reaching rule that the Biden administration put forward as they were walking out the door. So with that, we can go to question. Oh, reconciliation. The big, beautiful bill was passed very early this morning by our House of Representatives. I congratulate Congressman Moore and Congressman Miller for their efforts there. I think it's we look forward to receiving it over here on the Senate side. There are tax relief. There is spending, curbing the spending in certain areas, and I think it's going to lead us to a much better, more prosperous, and growing path. We will have our own ideas here in the Senate, and so we'll be working that as we move through the month of June.
So we'll start with Steve Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Yes. As I finish eating my Kit Kat, yes, Steve Adams, Ogden Newspapers here. Well, a little more about reconciliation, because obviously there was last-minute negotiations all throughout the day yesterday between particularly the House Freedom Caucus and Speaker Mike Johnson, the White House, into the night, into the early morning. The bill passes the House early this morning. It's got to go over to you guys. I think everyone expects there to be changes on the Senate side, either obviously from you all or even just from the process itself, the Byrd rule, what the parliamentarian may decide, what can be within a reconciliation package and what can't be. Probably too early to say, but I mean, what are the discussions? I know you're already having them, but
Right.
What are the discussions in regards to what needs to definitely stay? I'm sure you're going to say the tax cuts for sure. I know that's the main goal of everybody, but are there, other than that, are there any specific top line things that need to stay in this big, beautiful bill? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Stephen. And I would say, yes, tax relief that was passed in 2017 needs to be extended. We saw in 2018 and 2019, pre-COVID, how these, not just individual tax rates, but also the business tax rates and individual pass-through tax rates, as they were lowered, really led to a lot of growth in the country. And we want to reinvigorate that, bring jobs back in manufacturing, and make this country the job creator and the innovator that we know it is and should be. So that's number one. One of the differences would be, in some cases, we would like to make, on the Senate side, like to make these taxes permanent. rather than have them expire after 4 years in some cases or 10 years in other cases. So permanence is going to be critical for us. Also, we've got a spending problem here in Washington. We have issues that I think we need to curb the growth on more than I wouldn't say cut, I would say curb the growth, so that and one of these is Medicaid. I think it's a difficult issue because we have 28% of West Virginians are on Medicaid. I want to protect those benefits, and the president has said to protect those benefits. So the House has some ideas. We'll probably have some more ideas over here on the Senate. One of the things in my committee that we're working on is scraping out all the IRA grants and basic giveaways to protected NGOs and protected groups that were particularly friendly to the Biden administration. You know, it's a waste of money. We don't have money to waste now, and so I think we'll see some of the spending cuts all around. In certain areas where we can rein it in. There is border security in there. There's going to be things for air traffic control and also for our troops and our energy development. So I'm excited about what I see. Is it precisely what I would write? No, but I think that's why we bring it to the Senate and we work it through our processes.
Next up, we have Brad McElhaney with Metro News.
Oh, hi, Senator.
Hey.
I don't have a Kit Kat in my mouth, but I am on the streets of Washington, D.C., which may be more perilous. So
Yeah.
You may hear city sounds. I just came from a NIOSH rally out in front of Health and Human Services. Among the speakers was your friend, United Mine Workers President Cecil Roberts, who told a story about that involved you, connecting him with playing a middleman role, connecting him with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. For a phone call that lasted not as long as President Roberts would have liked. Anyway, want to invite you to chime in on that. But my official question has to do with the EV legislation that passed today. What is your philosophy about when there needs to be a federal role in an action to the state like California?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, as you all know, I've been very active in making the administration very aware that the NIOSH cuts that were initially announced could not stand. We're losing core health and safety for our workers' missions there. And the first thing I did was pick up the phone and call Secretary Kennedy very early on. And I think this was even before, maybe before he was totally confirmed with the Senate, and told him that, you know, what the functions of NIOSH are and how critical they are, particularly to West Virginia workers. And he said, well, you know, do you have, you know, somebody with coal experience that I can talk to? I said, heck yeah. So the next thing I did was called Cecil Roberts. And I said, well, you call him and frame this for him from our coal miners, you know, lens, because nobody can do it better than Cecil can. And so that, I think, was the beginning of what we see now is the reestablishment of the black lung issues and some of the other issues around our work safety. It's not a full, obviously, if you're at a protest, not everybody's gone back to work and not everybody's gotten a job, but some of the core functions that I was most concerned about, and after I had talked with many NIOSH workers, these were the ones that I think had the top, I wouldn't say that it's not all high priority, but had the highest priority at the time to make sure that we are helping our coal miners, particularly those afflicted with black lung. So yes, he played a part in this for sure. I asked him to, and he was very willing. In terms of the EV mandate, the EV mandate is very unpopular across the country. Let's just frame this. If we lived in a state that would have to abide by the California mandate, which 17 other states are included in this EV mandate, that California, the level of air pollution that California wants to go to, which would mandate electric vehicles. And you heard me say 30% by 26. Of the vehicles had to be electric vehicles. It doesn't, and a hybrid does not count as any kind of saver of air pollution. And so you're in West Virginia, you're going to go to Canaan Valley, and you're going to go over beautiful Corridor H, and you're going to have about a 3 or 3.5 hour drive that you can do, especially if it's cold. Where are you going to charge? How are you going to get there? How long is it going to take you to get there? I mean, certain areas it just does not work. Besides the fact they're exceedingly more expensive than gas-fired cars. So normally there's a national standard. This standard that California was able to establish and what they used to move forward to have this stringent was something that was established in 1966. I know, Brad, you're way too young for that, but I will say that was when LA and the San Joaquin Valley was covered in smog, and California could not meet the national standard and needed to have a different standard so they could work on the smog area. So that's sort of the history of how we got where we are. But then under the Biden administration, it just blew up into major policy that was going to affect 30% of this country. And that's why we took it down.
Next up, we have Rick Johnson with WOWK.
Hello, Senator.
Hi, Rick.
I want to switch it up just a little bit, if possible, talking about Social Security. With the staff cuts at SSA, has your office received any calls from older constituents here in West Virginia about any problems with, for instance, receiving their benefit checks on time or any other issues with the Social Security Administration?
You know, I try to monitor my phone calls very closely, and I haven't picked up that we have had those calls. My casework, and I will get back to you because my caseworkers who deal with Social Security would be the ones that would have the absolute accurate description of this. But I'm not picking up a trend in our phone calls of people who are not getting service from Social Security. No.
Next up, we have Curtis Tate with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Thank you, Kelly. Hi, Senator. Thank you.
Hey.
You had a brief exchange yesterday in committee with EPA Administrator Zeldin about the state revolving fund for drinking water projects, and the White House budget does include a bit of a reduction in funding for those programs. I guess the first thing is how would that affect West Virginia, and the second thing is what would you like to see from Mr. Zeldin and EPA on that issue? Where's a good place to meet? Thank you.
Yeah, the state revolving fund is really important to West Virginia for clean drinking water and for wastewater. And these projects cannot be done with one funding source. It's usually federal, state, sometimes Corps of Engineers, sometimes local communities and counties, sometimes there's private investment. I mean, they're just massively expensive because we have aging systems and we have people that don't have service. So I wanted to impress upon him that an 80% cut to these revolving funds would take West Virginia down to just $4 million a year, which honestly, every project I've ever seen is a bigger project is over $10 million in and of itself. So you can see the money's not going to even begin to touch what West Virginians need. And so I think he's hearing this from everybody. That's the good news. We're the appropriators. We're the one who sets this at the actual spending level. And I imagine that 80% cut that they've put in will not stand anywhere near it will stand. It's a very popular program and it serves a lot, in particular, our rural areas.
Next, we have Mike Toney with the Charleston Gazette-Mail.
Hi, Senator.
Hi.
I just wanted to get your response to criticism that the budget reconciliation package would disproportionately benefit the wealthy at the expense of lower-income West Virginians and people across the country. The Penn Wharton budget model had estimated significant shifts in who would ultimately be on the hook, who would ultimately be paying for the legislation. There have been other similar analyses saying that the working household in the top income brackets would benefit far more than those in lower tax brackets, particularly the households affected by cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. I just wanted to get your thoughts on how the who's actually going to benefit from an income standpoint from the package.
Thank you. Well, the fact that the reconciliation bill and the extension of the 2017 tax relief means that every single person, whatever your tax bracket, your tax bracket will not go up, your percent. That helps every worker. I mean, I believe the statistics shows that over 50% of the people in this country don't even pay tax, federal tax. And I'll get the actual number for you. So I think that's significant. Every worker, every small business that has a pass-through that files individually, their taxes will not go up. Those small businesses employ 90% of West Virginians. So every West Virginian who's working at a small business is going to benefit from the fact the taxes are not going up. I think also that the energy development in this bill is good for every single West Virginian at every single income level. That means more jobs, that means cheaper energy, it means less reliance on any other kind of external energy, and it also, I think, provides West Virginia as an epicenter of energy development. And so that's good for everybody at every single income level. In terms of Medicaid, I've spoken about this and I already did on this call. 28% of West Virginians are on Medicaid. I'm very concerned about that. But I want to see Medicaid be there for the people that it's designed for. And that means that people that are ineligible should not be getting benefits and should be removed. That means people that are maybe here illegally are not entitled to benefits should be removed. That means people that don't have the paperwork and everything that shows that they can that they can work and receive a benefit, then they should be asked to contribute by either work or going to school or looking for a job or any of a variety of things. And that saves money, because if we save money in the program in a larger sense, the 28% of West Virginians who are on it are going to get a better benefit, and they're going to be able to keep those benefits. But quite frankly, there's apparently 1 million people that are drawing benefits, Medicaid benefits, in 2 separate states. Well, that's fraudulent and wasteful. And so these are the kinds of things we're looking for. And I think in the end, that's what you're going to see. And I think in the end, whoever's on Medicaid that deserves to be on Medicaid and to access the benefit is still going to be able to do that.
Next, we have Henry Colbyhouse with Mountain State Spotlight.
Hey, Senator.
Hey.
Appreciate you taking my question. Senator, the budget reconciliation bill that was passed this morning, part of that has this new, provision where SNAP benefits would have a cost sharing with the state. Right now, the state of West Virginia is projecting, on its 6-year plan from the governor, somewhere between $400 to $500 million in, deficits. That's something that they're working on. It shouldn't be an issue moving forward. But this would be an additional cost on the state if we have to start sharing on the SNAP benefits. Is this something that you're working with state officials here in West Virginia and with your colleagues in Congress to kind of address this new state match with DC on SNAP?
Yeah, I think what we need to keep in mind is we have, and you know this very, very well, we have the House, and now we're here over in the Senate. The Senate is going to have something to say about SNAP benefits. So specifically, that specific provision, I actually was not aware, since they just passed it this morning, that it was part of the provision. I do think the point in SNAP is similar to the point in Medicaid. In order for work for people, to keep people from going hungry, to the neediest families and individuals that really cannot do and buy food and nutritious food at the same time without a SNAP benefit, we've got to preserve this. And so I think it has gone up exponentially over the last 4 or 5 years, part of it related to COVID, I think. And so I think we're looking for ways to extend the program to make it have a longer life. I'm not sure how I feel. I don't know how it would impact the state of West Virginia if there was a match. I need to do my homework on that.
And our last question is WCHS. Anna Saunders, if you're on the call, you're last.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
Senator, I just wanted to see where you stand on the stricter work requirements for Medicaid. Thanks.
I support stricter work requirements. Well, there are no work requirements in Medicaid right now. There are in the SNAP benefit, but there are not in Medicaid. You know, Medicaid's it's only in the expanded population, which is not the population of children or disabled adults or pregnant women or elderly. None of those who are the core Medicaid recipients are going to have any kind of a work requirement. This is only on able-bodied people without dependents. And so I think asking them to work several hours a week is well within the reach. And I think there are a lot of reasons to work besides what you're working for a benefit and you're getting money, but it's a self-esteem thing. You're contributing to your community. You're getting up and going out. I mean, I think this is something that I think our state can enact, and I think we should. So I support the work benefit for Medicaid in the expanded able-bodied population that is now receiving Medicaid, because our state expanded Medicaid under COVID, and that population is receiving the benefit.
Thanks, everyone. That concludes.
Thanks. Have a good Memorial Day.